Been waiting. We're getting the game underway. Not sure if you necessarily call it a huge upset, as Endpoint have been looking pretty sharp as of late, but they did take down Mouse Sports 2-0 earlier today, which I think would definitely have turned some people's heads. Mouse Sports were one of the teams that were certainly in the, I'd say, favorites to qualify and book a spot in their position in the fall event for DreamHack Open, which is in just over a month's time. And with 8 nations being represented in this matchup, it should be a really interesting culmination of different playing styles, and very curious to see how this game comes down. Endpoint starting on the T side, with Movistar occupying the defense. But so far, 3 players on A, 2 on B. Pretty standard stuff from both teams. Nothing really that out of the ordinary. 2 HEs, maybe raising a slight eyebrow at that. A potential double nade stack into the likes of main. But with no aggressive plays coming in just yet, those nades aren't going to be used. Now the push comes to fruition, though, and Robin and Flames take the mantle, forcing their will upon the CTs, and it's nothing but headshots. It's crisp, and it's a post plant. I know Movistar have an issue to contend with. It's Larson who stands tall for a couple, but he's been suppressed, leaving Steel, the IGL, the Brazilian, with the craziest crosshair I think I've seen in a while. Very thick, but he has gone down without too much of a fight. Not a single kill for him, and Endpoint will claim first blood in this best of 3. If you are interested in the maps, exclamation maps in chat, it is Train, which of course will be played first. That's an Endpoint's choice, and they have picked up the first round of their choice. And then second map is Overpass, and then the decider, if we need a final destination, will be Vertigo. Movistar go for the Force. Larson with a scout. The Danish contingent of today. We have Flames, who is from Israel. Force. Surreal and Mighty Max hailing from the UK. Ooh, not too far off was Moppy, the Spaniard, with his deagle. Did connect a shot, but not the outright frag. Flames will be feeling worse for wear. Crucial, lining up nades to barrel on to be with. 2 players stacked in there for the time being, and without any fully automatic weapons like an MP9 or an M4, this is going to be a rough ask. They need crisp headshots with deagles quickly. There's a smoke in play, but the flashbang's not going to deter Surreal, who comes straight through with that Galil. 2 kills back-to-back from the Movistar Riders, and now there's another one. How has this happened for Endpoint? Just running into the gauntlet, into the blender. It started so well for them, but now the bomb has been dropped out. And the Rider's in good position, but in the blink of an eye, 2 kills and a third come into play. And Endpoint making sure they do not slip and slide out of the force buy from the Movistar Riders. Oh, too close for comfort, though. Will be a collective sigh of relief, I'm sure, on the Endpoint side. Crucial from Holland and Robin from Sweden. Nice shot from Mopoz. Surreal with the Mac-10. Aggressive. Down towards the ramp side. There was maybe a hope and a bit of a glimmer for a moment that the Movistar Riders could get it done with their pistols, but that has been somewhat subverted now. And it will be another post plant on the B side. Good spray from Robin, but it's actually the Molotov that takes the life of Moppy. Or Mopoz, sorry. His name in the game is Moppyland for some reason, but his name is actually Mopoz. I know I'm going to screw that up like a million times. Yeah, Steel's crosshair is an interesting one, isn't it? I do love that Valve put this into the game where you could see people's crosshairs, you know, their perspective of the crosshair. Because you really do get some good ideas, and I'm always curious to see sort of what players prefer. I think for the most part, most of the crosshairs are fairly slim. Green, I'd say. Something like what Mighty Max has here is fairly standard. The thing is, well, though, it doesn't necessarily scale with your particular resolution. So it might look really weird, because obviously when I'm coming through onto stream here, I use 1920 by 1080 resolution, so it looks as good as possible. But some of these guys are going to have stretch reses and far different aspect ratios. So just because the crosshair looks a bit odd, to say the least, on my perspective, doesn't mean it's the same for them. I also did try to put it to 1080 60 FPS, by the way, but it was lagging when I tested it, so I'll fix that for tomorrow. There's another 3 days after today, so there's plenty of CS will be coming up here on the stream. Good trade out for Endpoint. It's the AWPer. Traded out for the life of Robin. Certainly take that. Movistar finally get their hands on a solid purchase, but it could be slipping away from them if they're not careful. Thing is, in these rounds, Movistar have done a good amount of damage. You can see the crucials down at $50. Flames just over 1,000. Things may very well change after this round, of course, but there are ways in which you can see that economy starting to show a few cracks. But so is the Riders' defense. They've lost a second player. Now Flames lives up to his name, tossing the Molotov down, just stopping any aggressive plays from the Riders, trying to get round the back and getting information. And again, it's the B site. This has been a constant. Mighty Max being winged. It's all an interruption play as the bomb gets planted on B. And the Riders realize they are in the wrong position. They've been outmanned, outgunned, and outmaneuvered. They will have to save this one more than likely, and they may not be given that luxury because Larson is the last man standing. Does have the best position for the Riders with the AWP. It was picked up from the corpse of Alex, who fired off into the Ivy side earlier on. That's now being held. Oh, Flamesy. I'll do what I can, dude. I'm pretty awful with pronouncing names. So, 4-0 start. Endpoint looking good on their choice of map. Train is one of those strange maps that I feel like either side, honestly, sure, it might slightly favor CT side and most of the time. But if you have a solid T side and you break down that economy of the CTs early on, like, you absolutely can spiral out of control in the T half. The Riders are trying a different look again. This time it's going to be 2 AWPs. They were able to save the AWP in the aforementioned hands of Larson, who will take the secondary one, so clearly can use it. Now Steel perched up on E-Box looking at the cross. They have Shocks, who is hiding in the Pop Dog. Again, it's pretty standard stuff. The only thing that's catching me out a little bit is a lack of A main control, where Surreal has just pushed straight out. He wasn't anticipating Steel to be on the wrong side of that smoke. But he goes down to the hand of the Brazilian IGL. Flamesy throws down the molly, spraying up through the floor, tags Shocks in the head, and that's enough to outright frag him. And the double AWPs not really having any impact at all. It was the 2 kills from Steel that were besting Endpoint. I don't necessarily think that it was the fault of the 2 AWPers. It's just the positions of Endpoint pushing through the smoke and up close and personal kind of mitigates and negates those 2 AWPs. So probably the phenomenal call from Mighty Max to get in amongst the pigeons, as it were, and to disperse them as best as possible. The worrying thing here is I'm speaking like this round is almost over, but it's actually not. There's 30 seconds to go. Endpoint still yet to get the bomb down, and they're moving towards Ivy, where Larson is waiting. He's going to get a freebie onto Crucial. That will give him information additionally. And now, Larson may be pushed by 2 players. He just needs to stand tall. Now, Flashbang's not ideal, but Larson is still alive. He knows if he gets one of these 2 plays, that could be good enough, and there it is. Flamesy is the last man standing, and the bomb has been dropped out. Movistar, somehow, some way, take this round and make it theirs. I thought that was Endpoint's every day of the week. But the early incursions didn't favour the AWPs, but certainly the latter half of that round did. And Endpoint again won't be deterred by that. Just say, okay, it's a one-off, whatever. Let's go in again. Steal, aggressive, into A main, maybe overextending. And Shox is going to hold the line for another one. Robin, last man alive for Endpoint. Much better from the Riders. Good shot. We'll keep the economy honest of the CTs additionally on top of that. And Robin with control of the bomb. Already with a 3k. He's not only on for a 1 versus 3. But additionally on for the ace. He's already done a huge amount of damage towards the economy of the Riders, whichever way you spin this. And if he can get another kill, it could effectively become 2 1v1s because Alex is in a bit of an awkward position. Is moving back on Ivy in the timing, not favouring Robin as he checks behind the Ivy box. He is sent sprawling out of the round. Now, do Endpoint have a read of the economic situation? Do they actually want to go for broke and force up and see if they can break down the economy of the Riders? Or are they content to just sit here and let their lead do the talking for them? Well, it is going to be a force. They do have a good read of the situation financially. It's only half the battle, of course. They still need to be successful. By dipping down to a Tech 9 and a Deagle, it does afford them the luxury of just a few more grenades. They have 4 smokes, more than enough to execute on either side. Actually, to even fake if they so choose. And there's an even trade over on main. That equality has been taken away from Larson's peak. Tagged down to 26, but still enough HP to get the kill and shimmy out of that. Flash and smokes landing. Incendiary tossed in. Too deep. The T's have already pushed past that. Flash out. Here comes the push. Here come the entries. Robin and Surreal both chip in for 1. 2v2. And a smoke is tossed onto Connector. Steel's going to have to play through the smoke if he wants to clutch this one out. He's done just that. Robin's going to be bitterly disappointed that he wasn't able to take down that kill because it looked like it was favoring him. And now Crucial in a really dicey situation trying to line them up. They nearly walked into his crosshair. But instead, it will be the Riders with a bit of PM to boot that will be getting the successful retake. The force buy not quite paying out the way that they're hoping for, but a post plant does allow them to get some pistols in play. So half buy it is. Round loss starting to build on Endpoint additionally. Next round they're going to have every single helping that they could possibly ask for. Could include an AWP if they so choose, which you'd expect from Crane. I'd be very surprised not to see an AWP picked up for Crucial. Steal with the spray. This is it. Fantastic hold. And Crucial narrowly missing out on being fragged through the smoke. That grenade may finish off the job. Perhaps not. But doesn't really matter. At this point, it's just about getting the house in order of who picks up which kills. The round is going the way of the Riders. They are going to concede 1 at least. That deal from Crucial may have a few more bullets to put into heads. Only 2 left in the magazine. Puts them both to use. What? And he's still alive. Surely this isn't possible. Surely Crucial doesn't pull this off. He won't. But you better believe he just terrified the Riders for a second. That was a shock to the system. Collectively, they all took a gasp. It's not just that, though. It's the fact that taking those 3 players down forces the Riders, again, into 2 players on $0. Each kill does help. Especially when it's on the T side. But keep an eye on that economy. And if this does continue to go in the same vein of form. Massive entry. spot from Surreal. Let's have no idea. Spins around, pivots in for an extra 54 damage onto Mopaz. Excellent round on Surreal. Information gathered for the rest of his teammates. Flamesy now can pretty much just sit in position. He doesn't have to go out aggressively. He can use him as a scout. Crucial. The audacity to just go straight up the train without any danger at all. Giving a care for the risk, but just looking for the reward. He's reaped just that. And with the kill, be the round falling into place. Flamesy's also moving in, and this is going to bait Steel into a false sense of security here. Even if he does take the kill down to Crucial, there's almost no way he survives. That's a great smoke, though, actually. It blocks off Flamesy. Now, the reason I say that is because Mopaz was watching on the box hall side. Now, this actually could work against Endpoint. Because Flamesy's moved the whole way through, he may call, there's no chance that someone's pushing behind them, and this could be a huge shock if the play down Pop Dog does come into fruition. 20 seconds to go. The timing isn't going to favor Mopaz. Doing their due diligence. Excellent work from Endpoint, and Steel, who's already picked up one, may be living on his last few moments as he is catapulted into his demise. So Endpoint, their first round, I believe 4. At least a few. And this is really where you look at that Crucial play that I said earlier with the Deagle, the 3k. You look at that, and this is the end result. Shocks, 1400, 2000 on Steel, 2.4k on Mopaz. This is where those kills, where you should just be getting shut out in a 1vx scenario, really do catch up with the CT side. This is why when you have a Deagle, when you're in those positions in 1v4, 1v5s, you've just got to stand there and do your absolute best. Don't give up. Because further down the line, it will have an impact. It will reverb. That's an interesting situation that the Riders are in, because Shox is going to have to double eco if they did want to get like a full-on buy. This suggests that they're happy to have 4 primary weapons and then Shox be on something a little bit dirty, like a Deagle maybe. So even for the next round, if they do decide to go in for a buy, it won't be phenomenal. Assuming, of course, they don't just outright win this and take all the guns away from Endpoint. Flamesy has the right idea, timing slightly off, just reposition, so he's going to be fine to get at least 2. His life is deemed forfeit. But even then, in his death, there is some success on Endpoint. He didn't die in an awkward position where that weapon would be easily retrieved. It was out in the open, and the CTs knew if they pushed to retrieve that, they likely would die. So that AK will stay on the floor. Oh, Robin! Oh my god. That flick! That's disgusting! You almost saw him, like, stand still for a second, like, holy shit, did I just do that? You did. You just absolutely manhandled him. So I was curious if Shox would dip down to a pistol to afford more grenades, or maybe a kit, something like that. Won't be the case. He goes for an MP9, which is completely fine, but the thing that's very curious to me is 2 glass cannon orbs. And they're going to go super aggressive behind this, and they have reaped the rewards with 2 kills. That is such a risky play. That's a real roll of the dice. Because going for those 2 glass cannons not just makes the 2 players very vulnerable, but they had a distinct lack of utility. You can see now with 1 minute 25, there's only the 1 incendiary left on the 3 CTs. Which makes staving off one of these angles that much more difficult. They got the early kills. That's what they were looking for, but now the trades are starting to work against them. And now the superior AKs should be able to pivot in for frags. Mopaz last man standing, spraying through the FAMAS. All 3 players are low, but the flashbang was on point. And a blind Mopaz is sent 6 foot under. And the economy of the Riders, once again, is cut abruptly short. This is starting to look like a very successful half on the side of Endpoint, which could just get more and more dangerous as time goes on. Crucial. Good shot. Unfortunate not to get the kill. I think it may have been partially through the floor into the leg of Larson. Nice flick. Larson looking for information. It is just pistols again. To really get carried away with. The aggression, the wraparound play from Steel and Alex will be reaching ahead in a few moments. It's Mighty Max that stood there. And you assume that Mighty Max just sprays through both of them. There's no reason for him to check any other angle. Everything else is covered, so... Maybe the idea now for Alex and Steel is wait for the bomb to detonate, see if any of the Ts look to try and retreat through towards their spawn, get a kill, take one of their AKs. That's pretty much it at this point. The round is done, of course. But it's always a little bit depressing when you're in a position where the best case scenario is you can maybe save a gun. And I think this call from Mighty Max is so good. It seems like a small thing, but he realizes it. He's like, okay, look, the spawn side is empty. It's vacant. Why would I risk going back through to the T side when I can just go to the absolute guaranteed sanctuary of their spawn? So, no weapons will trade hands. There will be no freebies for the riders. You can see the amount of respect that the riders have as well for these aggressive A main hits. We've seen it a few times already, 3 or 4 times, where Endpoint just charge straight out, get into the face of the riders, try and overwhelm and swarm them. And this is also a byproduct of running those double ops again. The one main counter is just getting really aggressive with flashes and smokes behind it. Blot out the sun, blot out the vision of the AWPers, and then conquer them accordingly. It's gone pretty well so far, but now Flamesy, with his AK-47, transitions that spray into the second headshot. 2-play-2, crucial. Tags and wings Alex, who's on 2 HP. Nearly found through the smoke. Flashbang through, and there's a P250 behind it, but still alive. How Alex is still alive, I have no idea. A real mystery. Our Endpoint on the prowl, on the hunt. They can sense the blood in the water. They want to strike. Flamesy trying to get round the back of the CTs. Alex is a dead man. One tapped. 7 bullets remain in the magazine. Will Flamesy realize it? Not too sure, but now Mopos will take the initiative and go aggressive. Will try to get in amongst the 2 Ts. Flamesy still hasn't reloaded, but doesn't need to. Supreme confidence in his crisp and brisk aim, and just flicks to the head. There's nothing that Movistar can do, it seems. Even when they get ahead on players, when they have those AWPs working for them, then Endpoint just appear into the site, and they're just picking up so many entries with the AKs. That round Flamesy was unreal. I think he ended up picking up 4 frags. Oof. Dunking those grenades though onto Crucial, who nearly just gets plowed by the HP straight up. Not a bad effort with the P2000, or pardon me, it's not the P2000, it's the 5.7. Now Surreal lines them up, knocks them down. 3k. Easiest kills that he could have asked for, really. And another pretty easy, straightforward round. Endpoint are looking unstoppable. Their T side has been very impressive. I've also liked how they've mixed it up so much. Like, they haven't been telegraphed. They've gone for those aggressive hits on A, sure. But then they've also hit B in multiple times. They've gone through Ivy. They've split. They've thrown fakes. They've really kept the riders guessing. This time a bit disjointed. Flamesy ahead of his teammates. A lot of damage put down from Alex is Surreal and Crucial getting each other's way. Nearly lined up for a double there. And that would have been the round likely put to bed. It may still be out of the realms of possibility considering the lack of HP, but Steel aggressively through the smoke. Doesn't realize that the health, I guess. The call may not have come through how low those two players were. Was that a clap? Did Larson just pick up two with one shot? I didn't quite catch that. But now Surreal, 1v2. This round has gone back and forth. It now falls upon the CTs to maybe claim their fifth, but a grenade through the smoke will finish off the weakened Larson. The HP firmly in favor of Shocks. 5 bullets left in the magazine on Surreal. It could all come down to timing. Oh no! Shock survives on 19 HP. I don't think the lack of bullets in the magazine was a determining factor. I feel like he would have died anyway. But a very nice try. At least the Riders end with a round. 5 isn't impossible. Sure, it's Endpoint on their choice of map on the CT side. It's not looking good. But there is a way forward if they can win that second pistol. And as I said before, keep the economy of the CTs down. Keep them in a position where they can't justifiably keep going for the AWPs and the big weapons. And they have to dip out now and again and go for saves. Let's have a look around the other scores in the other games. I'm not sure if they're still going on or not. Okay, so Sprout are up by a map against Heretics. Complexity are beating SJ. Mouse Sports are currently beating AGF. Skade are beating Fate. And North are beating Aves. So, I'd say a lot of those are kind of going the way that we expected to be fair. All right, well, here we go. 10-5. Endpoint in a pretty damn solid position. A kit picked up on Max with a smoke, and meanwhile Surreal's gone for some full grenades. Riders with a molly, couple smokes, couple flashes. No upgraded pistols. Interesting not to see a P250 or something in play. And now Mopaw's hiding in the smoke. He is alone. The rest of his teammates are split up across the rest of the map, and he's going to try and bait this one out. Does instantly dink Mighty Max. But because of the range and because of it being a Glock, The kill didn't instantly come through. If that's a USP, it would have been. Now the bomb's being planted, and Flamesy, oh no, he's missed out the opportunity to stop the bomb going down. He is going to make up for it, though, and make amends, but that's a mistake that he's going to want to forget real fast. Now, he can laugh that one off because they ended up winning it, but could you imagine if Flamesy whiffed all those bullets, and then, because of that, Endpoint ended up conceding the round? That would have been so brutal. Doesn't matter though, Flamesy. He's on 15 kills. He's actually had a really solid game up until that point, so it happens. It turns out he too is just human. The Riders though, you feel like that's a round that they probably got to win. And even post-plant, a lot of teams would just go all in. They'd go for a full buy. They'd try and break down the CT's economy as fast as possible, but actually the Riders just going for some upgraded pistols and HEs, that is quite surprising. I like the idea, but the execution wasn't quite there. And now Max will be facing off against many a T, as he will go down to the hands of Mopaz, who will follow suit shortly after. It looks like Endpoint will be trying to put an end to this map as soon as possible. As a result, though, of Movistar being more patient, they will be able to afford full AK-47s. There was an option for Larson to go for the AWP if he wanted. It would have been a glass cannon. He had $200 extra. Then the cost of the AWP, $4,750. But he decided against it. Docs. I thought he was going to get wide swung and just killed while he was looking at the box holes. But I think that first shoulder peek actually gave the position away and allowed him to readjust. So it was nearly incredibly awkward. As it stands, though, it's a 1-4 tray. The HP favoring Endpoint now, though. They've got the kill, but Mopaz comes straight back in before Crucial and Robin put it down. Drop the hammer. Now Mopaz with 16 HP, the last bastion of hope for the Riders, and, well, he has been squashed under the foot of Robin, who has been consistently impressive today. Looking at the top fraggers, Flamesy 20, Robin 18, and Surreal 15. All three of the top fraggers on the side of Endpoint, which you'd really expect when you see a scoreline like 13-5. But you would give an honorable mention to Larson, who's done some pretty decent work, although the bulk of that was on the CT side when he had an AWP at his disposal. Probably not quite as likely now that things have gone pear-shaped early on. You may not see him with an AWP, and perhaps he doesn't even want it on the T side. I have to admit, I haven't seen much of this guy before. The Dane, the Movistar Riders. Oh, here we go. We are live again. 13-5. First map in the upper brackets round of 8. So the loser of this will drop down to the lower brackets. It's not game over for them. Obviously, though, that does make their task that much more difficult, especially dropping to the lower bracket in the very first day of play. We will have games from now until the 25th. Where we'll find out which teams will qualify the DreamHack Open Fall, which happens in around a month's time from now. But plenty on the line to play for. Mighty Max Aggression looking for the information, and he will find it. Kill onto Larson, saw another player down there. Will call to the rest of his teammates. This is a very disjointed attack. I believe this is some kind of a fake that was being put in play. And Mopaz gets the drop onto Flamesy at least. There's another one, so maybe the Riders aren't out of this just yet. Only one of the 3 players has Kevlar. That's Alex. They can't find a weapon to pick up. Mopaz will be feeling it right now after his 2 kills. And Surreal is moving in. There's a bit of utility at disposal from Endpoint, but nothing huge. No HEs or Molotovs or even smokes now that's been tossed out. Mopoz finding the perfect timing. And Alex peeks round from the corner with Steel. Movistar Riders have stole one away. When Mighty Max went aggressively through Ivy and found them in main. I just assumed that was the round done. It was very disjointed. They ended up getting picked off from an AWP elsewhere. And it seemed to just kill the tactic in its tracks. But then somehow, some way, Mopoz found it amongst himself to just pop off with a 3K. And Endpoint's fortunes have been scattered. They've force bought now, and it's not really ideal, to say the least. It's Deagles, a FAMAS, and a Scout. The Movistar Riders have a real chance at cutting this one down, and Flames just getting round the back with the Deagle, returning the favor onto Mopoz, returning the favor onto the Movistar Riders. Live by the Deagle, die by the Deagle. This is incredibly grim. You feel like that was the way back into the game. Like if the Riders were going to make this happen, if they were going to somehow get this map back underway and take us towards overtime, or perhaps even like a 16-14, they had to break down the economy and keep it down, keep their foot to the throat of Endpoint. But instead, they instantly slip away. It is looking like this round will fall into place. Bomb is under control at least. So as far as 2v4s go, it could be worse. But it could be a whole lot better, especially as Shox has now been found and fragged by Robin. And the AK could, from Flamesy, picked up the first couple of kills with a Deagle. And it has come full circle as he drops 23. And we're only into round 21. This guy is in some fine form. The Riders, though, will have a bye. But is it too little too late? I feel like they've really just shot themselves in the foot. Ooh, flick was good. Unfortunate for Larson, it was partially through the wall. So Mighty Max has a Guardian Angel looking over him, it would seem, but there's nothing over Steel apart from a round to the side of the head. And the crushing weight of this round coming around him right now. Flamesy, again, on point to deliver fatal blows. A 2v2, one of the better chances that the Riders have had. And at range, Surreal does open up with the M4. Does a bit of damage, but nothing that's going to stick permanently. Post plants. Larson with the AWP. Has been one of the standout players for Movistar. Oof. Hefty damage and a HE behind it. Not quite deep enough to deal with Larson. Alex perched up on the bombs. Molotovs all around them. Larson's been forced out of position. He only has the AWP. As they may try and defuse it amongst that smoke. There's still plenty of time left. And the two CTs are going to be looking a little bit sketchy right about now. How far is that bomb going, though? Sorry, my auto-director decided to just go absolutely apeshit and just, you know, start jumping out of people's bodies and all kinds of stuff. So that was fantastic. Thanks a lot for that. Cheers, Valve. I love that that's still in the game 6 or 7 years after release. Phenomenal. But yeah, Flamesy is honestly so impressive. Like, I've seen him quite a few times now. He's not always consistently posting up big frags, but the guy clearly, whenever you watch him, has a lot of ability and a lot of talent. And it's good to see him shining when it really matters. Mighty Max with the AWP at range. He's doing it again. Why is that a thing in the game, man? It's so stupid. Oh, it seems like auto-director knew. The good old auto-director bug. Typically, spoiler warning, when it jumps out of people's bodies, it normally means the game is ended.